Hi.
Hello there.
Mm, Beautiful to see you.
Yes, beautiful to be seen. Beautiful to see you too, Camilla.
Yeah. Look at
It's a,
the sun
it,
behind me.
it's a beautiful day out there. The sun is shining on you.
Yeah. Feels like midsummer and it's just amazing. The sun and this is the best time of the year here.
Wow. And the light is on you, Camilla. I love the greenery in your scenery. And
Yeah.
for those who don't know, where in the world are you?
I am in Sweden, in Scandinavia, so I am actually a bit away from you. I mean, we have early evening here, and I am outside of Stockholm, the capital of Sweden.
Okay,
Mm.
okay. I have some family over
Yeah.
there in Sweden.
Oh, you have.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. I visited
Yeah.
them not too long ago. Towards the end of last year, I was in Gothenburg. Yeah,
Mm. Yeah.
yeah. So in Gothenburg, I was visiting my family. It was very like people were very about their business in Sweden. It wasn't
Hmm.
like people were pausing to wave or say hi on the street. It was very like everyone had a place to be, everyone had a place to go,
Mm.
and it was almost like a culture shock for me in different places and different spaces because there were even lanes for bikes, lanes for people
Yeah.
walking. I was like, what?
Yeah. We like standing in line.
Yeah.
No, but actually, I think that for Americans, it is a bit of a difference, but it's not the same everywhere. You've been in Gothenburg, and that's the second biggest city in Sweden. So if you go to areas where people are a little bit not as hectic and, going somewhere all the time, it's different. And the contact with nature, we have this sort of connection in our souls with nature. That's where we go. We have this opportunity to go out in nature almost everywhere, and especially up in the north, it's amazing with the mountains. And we have these large areas where it's just wilderness, actually. So it's different from in the cities.
Okay.
I live outside. I don't live right in the
Right.
city.
Right. So I'll definitely
Mm.
have to visit, the more natural landscapes, the places kind of away from the cities to
Yeah.
feel less of the hustle and bustle because, it looked like y'all are really fit out there. Y'all are really active, very athletic. I didn't see,
Mhm.
in America, you might see many people who are, tend to be overweight or tend to be
Yeah.
on that side. I didn't see many people like that, you
No,
know? People were very
that's true, actually. Yeah. It's, I mean, there are differences, of course, here too, but I think that generally uh, people are more into a bit more healthy lifestyle. It's just been like that for a very long time. It's different from, but I yeah, you saw something there. That's true, actually. Yeah.
okay. And
Mm.
when you say Camilla for a very long time, have you always been in Sweden? Is this where you've always been?
Me? Yeah, I was born here and I've lived here. I love to travel, so I've been traveling a lot, even as a kid. I traveled and as I will probably talk a little bit about I love doing energy work at sites in the world,
Mhm.
sacred sites, powerful vortex places, even stargates out in nature and all these kinds of places. And I have realized recently that I actually was in several of those places even as a child when traveling, and now I just love going either by myself or with my family, or with groups doing energy work at these sites.
Mhm.
Mother Earth is very, very special, and uh, it's amazing to be able to do that.
Yes, yes. So you're saying, you know, with friends or your family, because I know you have three children, right?
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
and your
that's
husband,
true.
your three children. So
Hmm.
you take your whole family with you to these different sites?
Well, there has been some journeys where the children have been with me. Usually, then I taken a day or part of a day to be alone and doing energy work, and they have been doing other things than sitting in meditation and you know tuning into the energies. But they have been with. We were this winter, me and my husband and our children. We went to the Seychelles. Do you know about the Seychelles in the Indian Ocean?
No.
It's a group of islands in the Indian Ocean, very close to the equator, outside of Africa, between Africa and India. So it's very, very tropical. And so this was my idea. I just felt I really needed to go to this very tropical place, very far from Sweden and you know our lives here and in the middle of our winter. And we had snowstorm in Sweden, and we went to the Seychelles, and every one of us, we were affected by the energy in different ways, I think, and the children too. They are sensitive to energies. All children are. They are sensitive to energies. They can feel, and if we allow them to be naturally in these environments where humans haven't affected the environment as much as you know in forests or close to lakes and on mountains or on meadows, they will naturally feel into the energies and adapt to that and not be as occupied as life regularly serve them, like with all the tech and so on. So they will tune in their own
Right.
way. Mhm.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, so, you know, when it comes to being tuned into different energies, you know, being tapped in and tuned in that way, you talked about how children, and I love how you say that they always have that sensitivity to energy, like they're
Mhm.
always in that wavelength, they're always on that side of the spectrum. Did you also always have that sensitivity growing up to the energy? And if so, how did you maintain that throughout the years?
Um, yeah, I believe I was sensitive. I I always saw myself as, in a way, carrying some sort of wisdom. So some years as a child, I felt older than other kids in general. Um, and I was very early, I was interested in the mystical fields, and I was interested in Egypt and these cultures and the mysticism very, very early. And I also connected with angels and with all of that early. But over the years, I mean, especially late the teenage years and early 20s, when many of us have this very powerful urge to fit in, to be part of, you know, the community, be part of the friends and groups, and not to be different. I hid a lot of that part in me. So I stayed connected in my heart, but I I pretended to be more of something that I wasn't as much. So I hid that part over those years. So I never really shut down. I would more say that I put it in a, you know, like a closet, and I had that part of me there, and it waited for me for those years, and then I experienced this uh, when the when the soul comes in and say, hello, you need to change direction. Like, hello, can you hear me? You really need to change direction now because you are meant to do something else. So I experienced that when I was about 23, 24. And so I started listening, and I have continued to listen and taken step by step ever since to follow that voice of the soul. And sometimes it's really scary to take that leap into something new, like always this development and always taking a step further. And every time it feels that you come close to your soul and to your purpose being here. And it's a beautiful, beautiful feeling to feel that, yes, I am actually where I'm supposed to be. I feel aligned. I feel totally in alignment with, universal, with source, with God, with the universe. So.
Thank you for sharing that, Camilla. Beautifully put, the beginning of this. And it's interesting that you say that when you were amongst others in younger years, that you might have had fears of maybe being an outcast or standing out from the crowd, standing apart. With that ancient wisdom, with that wisdom within you, and kind of feeling older than your peers in that way.
Yeah.
When you put those parts of you into the closet, and you said you almost kind of pretended to be something else, what do you feel was that something else that you pretended to be?
I would change a little bit on that I said, because in a way, I never feel that I regret anything. I never feel that I was something that I wasn't, because it's everything is inside. So even if I tried to blend in and, I did the whole going to the university and trying the academic path and partying and everything like that. That was also part of me, and I learned a lot. But um, it wasn't the whole of me. Definitely not the whole of me, and it was a huge part that was just screaming to come through and to show the world my soul. And I think it is a vulnerability. We feel vulnerable to show our true light. So we try to blend in and try to be more like others, but we're never supposed to be like others. We're supposed to be like ourselves and to be the whole of to show the full spectra of who we are, the nuances and the light and the love that we carry, and that can be scary especially for a very young person. I mean, I'm 42 now, so it was a while ago, and I've been on this path for quite a while now, and it's easier, but it's still always a development and always these steps that you take that I think it's supposed to be a little bit challenging for you. Because in that feeling of challenge, when you take a step further, there you find the real treasures, and you feel very blessed to continue and continue and continue.
I agree. I agree.
You recognize that? Do you feel that too?
Of course. I can definitely relate to it. And as well, we have Andra down here in the comments, and she said that we're supposed to be like ourselves. Everyone else is taken, you know?
Right.
That's an interesting point that you made, because You know, when it comes to the being afraid of our light, or even being afraid of our darkness, because you sometimes hear people think about the skeletons in their closet, or the things that they don't want to be uncovered, or the things that they don't want to be discovered by others when it comes to their darkness. You know, the most parts or the regions within themselves that they're embarrassed by, or they're avoiding or evading, or even feel shameful or guilty towards. But when it comes to you, you were almost saying that it's our light that we might even be afraid of, that vulnerability of letting our light shine. So for you, was it more of your light than your darkness? Yeah,
definitely. That was the big one.
okay.
I did a lot of exploring. I did there is a branch within psychology, the transpersonal psychology, that's called psychosynthesis. I did that for a few years, training from 25 and up to 30. And during those years, we did a lot of work with, you know, personality level, like going down the basement and looking at all the things that you can find there. But it also is to go up, you know, up on the balcony and see what can the view look like. And for me, the big part was to really see the light, and to not to be afraid of showing that light, and showing that love from within, and the gifts, even though many of us have gifts, different gifts, psychic gifts, or different energy worker gifts, or healing gifts, and some of them, it's just some different part of you, and to stand up for what you really can do. That was a huge part for me to really say, hey, yeah, I am a healer. I can do this. I can channel. I do light language. I can chant this way and that way. And so that was a journey too, to be proud of, that I can do this. And for some, it might be weird, but I realized, you know, with time, that actually most people don't think it's weird. They actually think it's really intriguing and interesting, and like, wow, that's cool.
Yes, yes. And much more about it today, you know, which is why I really, you know, enjoy conversations like this, where I'm learning so much from you. You know, I'm learning about things in different fields that were not revealed. You know, to me, when I was younger, we didn't have this kind of conscious curriculum where we learned about energy, where we learned about, we learned about even, you know, going to these sacred sites, and, you know, doing grid work, and having this connectivity, this synergy with all of life, you know, even nature, you know. So, you know, you're 42 years young, you're still young, you know, your whole life is still ahead of you, and you're still continuing with this childlike spirit, this sense of curiosity, and that yearning, and that burning for learning. So when you get a sense, Camilla, of where to go next, or what journey to take next, do you feel it as like a calling, or like a voice, or you said it kind of like a soul calling? What would you call that you're listening to whenever you're being guided?
Um, so when I talk about how I'm guided, it could be very direct messages that I hear. I'm clear, if you say in English, clairaudient. So I can hear messages from my guides, high dimensional beings, and so on, or for my soul, or however we wish to, you know, address them, or that energy. So I'm very grateful to be able to do that. But in some periods, it's very difficult for me as well to really hear and get that clarity. And it could be periods of being like in a void, periods that you don't feel that clarity or where I'm going with this. I'm really not sure. I just stay put here and wait until something comes through that will be clear enough. And when that happens, it could be like a very, very strong, energetic experience,
Mm.
like sitting in meditation. And when I go to my heart and when I connect, with our cosmic energies and with Mother Earth, and I connect with my guides through my heart, and it's almost like you are thrown out of yourself. It's so strong that I barely can stick together. The energy is so strong. And then sometimes I get messages like words, so I can write them down. Sometimes it's more of an energetic revelation. It's like I see something and I feel something. And sometimes after a while, I can translate that into words that I actually know what is going on here. Why am I suddenly drawn to going to this place in France? And it's so strong for me that I almost need to hold on to something physically because it's so strong within me. So this very strong physical reaction to energies, that's pretty new to me.
Mm.
That's how it is the recent years that I cannot say that no, it didn't really happen. Yeah, it happened. It was that powerful. So that's for me. But it could be very subtle, like just hints in dreams, or you see signs on something that's going by, like on a car, you see a sign, a word. It could be something like being guided to meet people, synchronicities, a very subtle um, hint of where to go, how to follow along. But as your question there, for me right now, it's like full sound on, like, this is it. Are you ready? It might feel a little bit scary, but this is it now. Do you say yes? So, um, so it's kind of powerful, actually.
It does sound powerful, you know, it
Yeah,
does sound powerful. And, you know, I like that it's very strong, it's very palpable, and it's very distinct, you know,
yeah,
it's very
yeah,
distinct and very set apart. The sensations that you feel and that are revealed, you know, it's interesting when you talk, Camilla, because, you know, for anyone else, like sometimes they do see energy as something subtle, very ethereal, very like very distant from themselves. But when you speak of it, it speaks very strong. It's like
yeah,
this strong energy. You almost have to hold yourself up. You know,
yeah,
you have to
yeah.
to stabilize yourself. So
Hmm.
when it came to, you know, having these strong pulls or these strong tugs, how do you feel like you learned how to remain still in the midst of uncertainty and even just take that leap of faith when you had no assurances? Like, what was an example of a situation where you might have been thinking to go this way, but then you just waited and you realized you needed to go that way, you know?
Yeah. Mm, well, most of the times it comes in in parts that I begin to feel something. And actually, sometimes the signs can be outside of myself, that I realize that energies are not going in this direction anymore. It's sort of things are not working. The energy is just not there. So sometimes it's like that. So okay, this part is finished now, and no, it's like um, when you have been on a project and you've been adding energy to it for a long time maybe, and then suddenly it just feels that it's just done
Yeah.
and the energy is not there anymore. And it could be like that from time to time. But for me, I think over the years, what I always try is to be able to listen in and to say yes to both the very subtle, small signs and to the big ones, of course, because I know that that it's my path, and it's so very rewarding to do so. Because when you say yes to your soul, you will continue to get those messages. Sort of is that, for an example, if you're the kind of person that sees signs out there, on cars, or you see numbers, or in commercials and so on, and as soon as you see it and you recognize it as, oh, this was a message for me, you will see them more, because then you have said yes to that language. So you say yes to the language, and for me it's like I've said yes to the language of my soul, and my guides and universe know that I will keep saying yes, so they will give me more and more clear signs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Beautiful explanation, Camilla. Beautiful. I got visions when you were speaking of, the language of your soul, because sometimes we hear people say, the language of the universe, or the language of the cosmos, or the language of the divine. I like how you connected all the way back to the soul. And,
Yes.
when you speak of the language of your soul, some people say, I'm a soul in a body. And some people say, I'm a body in a soul. Where do you see the soul? Is the soul somewhere that you see it, or is it something within? Where do you see the soul when you think?
I would say that, no, I am a soul, a part of the whole creator consciousness of one universe, that I am soul that is a part of that big unified consciousness. And the part that is me has a unique vibration, a unique frequency, and a unique language. And currently, I live in this body on Earth, and I need to take care of my body to be able to be here in a good way, and to be able to hold all the energy that my soul wants to hold. And all the energy that I am anchoring down to earth through my soul. So I see the soul as temporarily living in this body and with this personality as Camilla. But my soul is bigger, and it is bigger than my personality, and it's bigger than my body and my mind.
One time I saw you write down on one of your posts, Camilla, you put, with love from the one heart. The one heart. What is the one heart, if you could describe that? Does that have any correlation with the soul or the oversoul or anything like that?
It is a way of expressing the sort of the singularity and the overall universal consciousness, source, God. It is, in a way, a singularity. It's a one heart, it's a one love. In the same way, it holds everything. So it is an all. It's source of all that is. It is not one, but it is one, but it also holds everything. And we are all part of it, and it is part of us as our divine essence within. So sometimes it could be almost confusing to see how it's both within and without at the same time. It just depends on how we look at our reality. But I am very much about saying that we can honor all of us as unique individuals, unique souls. We are not all the same, like a blend of everything. We are actually unique parts, and as we said before, that we're not supposed to be like everyone else. At the same time, it is one love, one heart, and that is what connects us all, regardless of who we are and where we are.
Okay. Okay. So eloquent, you know. So it's the one love that is the one heart that is the all in all, like
Yeah.
the all is
Yes.
everything missing, you know. And it sounds like it's beating, like we're all synchronized into this rhythm of the one heart, you know. That's
Yes.
okay.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
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 You know, we have I do a lot of these group meditations, both when we are connected, like online, but I also sometimes do these distance group sessions when we are not connected online. We're just sitting all by ourselves in our homes or out in nature, and we connect at the same time. Usually we do it at the same time, and we all like tap into the field, the unified field, the group field, and we focus about on the same thing. It could be a little bit different because of how we are, you know, in the moment guided in our meditations. But basically, we feel each other. We feel each other so much that I could sense certain, you know, energies coming through, or an image or something that appears, and someone else was seeing that or working with that by themselves at another part of the world. And I get all these very clear, I cannot find that word, but the confirming events that happen all the time, that we are actually connected and we tune in on to the same things, even if we didn't know it at that time.
For sure, for sure. When you get these confirmations, Camilla, because, you know, earlier you were talking about the confirmation of, okay, the energy is no longer flowing in this direction, you know? So it's like you're heading in a direction, or you're working on a project, you said, but then you realize that it's becoming more difficult than it needs to be. It sorts of feels, it's a forcing, but it's not really a flowing. And you can kind of see that the energy is no longer going in this direction. You know, when you get that feeling and you're able to let it go and discard it, that takes, well, it sounds like it takes a lot of surrender, you know?
Oh, yes.
So, you know, how much has letting go and surrender been such a factor in your journey to be able to allow these things?
Well, the difficult part is whether surrendering needs to happen before you know what you're going to do instead. That's difficult. To let go of something and you don't know where you are going instead of the previous. That's a difficult one, because that gets all these very human feelings of not knowing coming up. Like, I will not have anything to do. It's like when you quit a job and you don't have another job to go to. But to surrender, to let go of something when you see and feel that it is something else that calls now. In a way, I feel that easy, because then I know that I am right on point. The difficult part is if someone else gets disappointed. No, I have a heart for everyone, so of course that's difficult if you know had plans. But when I feel that I am aligned with divine guidance, then the surrendering is actually quite easy. It's just the knowing. And I've done it for so many years now. So you get a little bit used to it also, actually. Yeah.
So it's almost like
Mm.
a practice. It's a practice.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. It's a practice. I know in other cultures, spiritual practices, um, I think you do a bit of qigong and that kind of, that's more a culture of, developing self-discipline. You need to do things like it's good to go up early in the morning, or something that involves certain self-discipline in some spiritual cultures. And I think for me, the self-discipline is to be aligned with my soul and higher guidance, divine guidance, and why I am here. And if I keep aligning with that, if I stay true to, what I feel is right, uh, then I know I'm right on my path. And it takes a little bit of self-discipline to do that, and not like, oh, but it's very comfortable to be here. Oh, I can do this with my little finger and I can just relax. And that is a little bit, that is not, that is not fully aligned, and that is not with that energy of commitment that you need to have
Okay.
and develop. Mm.
Okay.
It's a
Okay.
journey.
So just to understand you correctly, Camilla, so when you're aligned, the surrender is easy,
Mm-hmm.
and when you're misaligned, the surrender is hard.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
It also depends on if we have fears that are not looked at, if you haven't really addressed fears that you hold within, those might come up in that kind of situation when you need to surrender to something new. It could be like a fear of losing everything, fear of having no money, fear of being seen as a lunatic, fear of, it can be so many kinds of fears. And if we haven't explored who we are in that sense, like you said, and the shadow parts, the surrendering part can be really difficult.
Mm.
Because it triggers many other kinds of emotions at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's just part of it. It's very natural to feel that. So sometimes you need to go over a lot of emotions on the way.
Mm.
So to process the letting go before you can actually let go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because some of the fears that you mentioned, and I know that many people have shared those fears as well. The fear of lack of abundance, the fear of judgment. Were those some of the fears that you've had?
Uh, yes. For me, the biggest fear was to stand out and to be different with my gifts. I had this, in Europe, I think it is a huge part, maybe especially for women, I'm not sure, but like the witch trials.
Mm.
Mm. So in Sweden, we had it, and, in Great Britain and so on, the persecutions of being to stand out, to be different, and to be called out as a witch, and then you would be burned. And so at one point, I think it was when I started channeling, I think it was a little bit more than 10 years ago, maybe 12, 13 years ago. I had a period when I actually heard in my mind that I was afraid that I would be burned. if I do this, if I go out and show who I am, and if I do this, if I go public and say that I do this channeling, I will be burned like the witches got burned. So this is a trauma that is on the collective level and maybe on the parallel timelines or the past lives, however we see that. It can also be on the collective level, like the collective trauma or the ancestral trauma.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, it's very illogic. It's not logic. I mean, I would never be burned, actually, but I felt that. So my fear was not logical. It wasn't connected with reality. It was a memory within, a cell memory that was so afraid of showing psychic gifts and to stand out from the group, that came up and became like, I got frightened. So I needed to work with that fear a lot in that period to be able to be able to stand out and to be me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you for speaking on that. Thank you for your testimony, because I enjoy the words that you use, Camilla, when you're talking about these traumas and the trials, with the traumas of those trials in those times, because you don't say generational, but you say ancestral and also parallel timelines.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so when it comes to that, you see it as something it's on a timeline that's actually parallel to one of your own, not as though it's something that has gone before, but that something is actually happening now.
Um, well, I often use both expressions, past lives and both like the linear time,
Mm.
but I see time as more of a spiral,
Mm.
more than a linear. So the spiral takes us like this. And so say that we are on this
Mm.
point, and there's another line that is like on the same point on this side, with me experiencing the situation, like the witch being
Mm.
burned. It connects and it merges and it triggers.
Mm.
So when that happens, a situation in my life now get triggered from a timeline that in a way happened, but in another way, it is active right now. So the
Mm.
spiral has gone several turns, but we are on the same sort of page. I'm not the best at describing this, but in a way, this is how I see it, that we, it's like we meet up with parts of ourselves. And right now we have the opportunity to release that. It's also um, a collective memory.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be easier to see that it is a collective memory that this has happened. I mean, we have so many different collective traumas.
Mm-hmm.
But as I say this, my feeling is, in a way, I would speak at like about the energies right now. I feel in a way that, the need to do a lot of clearing with energies on a collective level will not be needed as much. It's like there's been so much clearing and cleansing, and we have gone these turns for so many times. But in a way, we could just be here and focus on the love, and we don't need to, to dig and look at all these memories every time. It's like it's done, and we can be the love that we are in this present moment. That
Mm.
is my feeling about what is happening now with so many people opening up their hearts
Yeah.
and finding new ways.
So being the love in the moment, you know, being this love in this present moment, in this present time of now that is on the same track or on the, like, I like how you said on the same page, you know, having that perspective of these timelines and of these cell memories, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you spoke of that fear that you had, the fear of burning, that burning fear. How did you finally transcend that, or maybe even release that, you know?
Mm. Um, for me at that time, it was about releasing the cell memory within. This was a while ago, but as I remember, it needed several times of, releasing, asking for help from higher dimensions, and I at some point I got help from another healer, and we did a lot of work of releasing those memories. When we have these very very strong memories, regardless of what level they are, uh, we can have them very clearly in our bodies. It's like the body is um, holding them. It can almost feel like you have a stone, in your back, or you have a dagger in your back, or it's a memory that it could be a very physical experience of, no, I'm carrying it actually in my belly, or somewhere in the body. So you can address it by going to that part of the body. And so there's so many methods of supporting us releasing the memories. It's the same when you have traumas in your current life, from certain periods of your life, that it could be stuck in a physical body part. But for me, it's a lot about just asking my soul, higher aspect, the angels, the guides, or the master beings to support me and just help me release
Mhm.
an energy. There's so many ways of doing this depending on what journey you're on and what you're drawn to, like different tools and techniques.
Mhm.
I can only say what I do.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
when it comes to, so you said, Camilla, that your method that you enjoy is just, you know, like ask and you shall receive, or ask and you shall release.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I always see energy work. It doesn't matter if it's energy work for me, like my own energetic imprints, memories, or if it's something about another person, like a client or the earth, a place, a site. It doesn't matter. But I see it always as a co-creation. So I see that I am uh, part of a co-creation between me, maybe the earth, Mother Earth, and higher beings, the universe, and I am the channel. I am the tool. So for something to happen, we can act as the vessels, the tools for this energy to either come down, to be anchored to earth, or something to be released from earth, or within our bodies. It is a co-created process together with other higher dimensional energies. It's not just me, and it's not just them. It's both.
Mm.
Um,
Mhm.
mm,
I love this. I love this.
yeah,
You know,
mm,
embracing ourselves as the tools and letting go of all of the rules, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It feels like that sometimes. Like it's so much that's intuitive what I do, that I can only trust what is going on in the present moment. I have my ways of getting myself like clear. I have my ways of clearing my energy, or being heart, or something like that. But to be truly aligned and intuitive, you cannot have too many restrictions, because you need to be so much focused in the present moment so that you can hear and follow, and you need that freedom in that moment.
I agree. You know, we had an interesting question, a wonderful question down below, and I want to talk about this because it was one of my questions as well, by Naidu Kushal, and they're asking about KumaRa, and they said, I know about Sanat KumaRa and Sanada KumaRa. Are they related? So can you talk about KumaRa?
The name KumaRa, I got it several years ago. It is not the name that I was born with. It is my spiritual name. KumaRa is from Sanat KumaRa. I had an experience of meeting with Sanat KumaRa in the etheric realms, and one of these very powerful moments, actually. And in that connected moment, I received that name, that I was supposed to carry this name because of the soul group, because of the soul ancestral, it's like a group name. So it's connected with Sanat KumaRa. I think that's the only part I can really say at this time. Later on, I received the name Aurea. That's also Camilla Aurea KumaRa. Aurea is both connected with golden, like golden energy, and it is connected with Aurora, which is the energy of the northern lights, and also high dimensional beings. So,
that reminds me of the Borealis.
Yes, and we have that in Sweden, and especially up in the north, where I've been a lot over the past few years.
Okay. This is fascinating. So you briefly touched, Camilla, you just briefly touched on the etheric realms, meeting Sanat KumaRa in the etheric realms. For those people who have no idea what you're talking about when it comes to the etheric realms, could you just briefly talk about how do you go into the etheric realms, and what is it like being in the etheric realms?
Oh, wow. That's a big question. So what I do, and what I've done for many years, is that when I meditate, I don't meditate the more common way. I more go on a soul journey. It is like I travel with my light body. I go through I align with source, all that is, with God, with universal consciousness. I align with Mother Earth. So I'm grounded, and I connect through the heart. And the heart is also a portal, a stargate, a portal, a crystalline portal. So I connect through the heart, and I open up to do the soul traveling. And it's different from astral traveling. It is more like traveling in higher dimensional realms. It could be connecting with different star systems and beings, and it could be going to other eras on Earth and connecting with Lemuria or Atlantis. So I think I saw the question about Sanat KumaRa there, and I remember when I connected with Sanat KumaRa, it was an experience of meeting Sanat KumaRa in Shambhala. And at that time, I didn't know, I was not into the different traditions of Asia and the Hindu and the Buddhist traditions. I mean, I'm a Scandinavian. That's not what I know so much about. I knew some, but not much. So I guided a group meditation, and we were traveling, and we ended up in Shambhala, and we met Sanat KumaRa there, and flanked by 2 lions. And it was a beautiful experience, and we experienced to know about the threefold flame within the heart. So often these wisdom comes through that I personally don't know anything about. It just comes through in that moment, because my soul travels to these higher realms, and it is almost like being educated along the way. Sometimes I say that I do what others are doing when they are taking, ayahuasca or mushrooms. So I do that without them. I do the traveling. I see all these realms without any tool. I do it just by being me and doing these ways of opening up through the heart and connect to the higher realms.
Okay. Okay. So the experience is almost like you said, psychedelic without the substances,
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It's a dream, an awake dream that is so real that you feel it in your body physically. And with all the energies that come through, it's very healing also. So it's healing on both the physical, emotional, and mental, and spiritual bodies.
Okay.
And there are those that do these kinds of soul travelings, and this has been my way of exploring consciousness, and it's like an adventure. You said that staying curious, something like that. I think that's a big part for me, to stay curious, and it's like an adventure, a very meaningful adventure.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Mm.
So you're a star traveler, and I love how you said it's an education. You get educated because it sounds like the universe is its own university.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
you're receiving,
Mm.
receiving the knowledge that we didn't learn in college.
No.
The knowledge that
Mm.
all around. And I mean,
Mm.
I was just imagining as you were painting the picture with your words, having a whole group travel to Shambhala with you together, not just
Yes.
you. You weren't just a
Hmm.
solo traveler, but you were traveling together.
Yes.
Amazing.
Mm.
That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. It is. That is. Sometimes I try to understand mentally more what is actually happening. How do I do this? Because this is what I do. I take groups, either online or in person. We can be a group sitting like in a circle, and we do this traveling, and they are all part. And but it's just a matter of going with that flow, and with experience, and learning along the way, I think. And mm, yes, and to trust, and not be, I think it's very important not to be a controlling person, having a strong need of controlling what is going on. Uh, so I have that faith that I know I am guided, so I can do this, and I can bring them with me, and I know we will all land very grounded, and it will all work out, and it will be a beautiful experience. I don't need to know beforehand every single part of what I am supposed to do or say, or so it's about allowing, and it's about having faith and trust.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yes. Wow. Well, Camilla, thank you for your trust. Thank you for your faith. Thank you for guidance. Thank you for your words of wisdom from your experience.
Thank you.
Thank you for just for showing us another side of you, for giving us your story,
Mm-hmm.
and just caring to share. You know, if this was somebody's first time meeting you, if they're watching this and they've never seen you before, this is their first energetic encounter.
Yeah.
Would you let them know, any offerings that they could receive? Would you let them know where they could receive that from you? If any services?
Well, I have every part of what I do in the service on a website called Bright Auroras. Auroras like the northern light. So brightauroras.com, and you will find it in all the webinars. I know if you would like to travel with me on these amazing journeys within. But also just connect on Insta. I would love to connect, and I love to share this space and to learn from others. So follow me on Instagram and we can connect. Yeah. Well,
Okay.
it was very beautiful to talk to you, and you are such you have a very strong presence, Jerome. You know,
Um,
very much in the moment.
I'm glad.
It's beautiful.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
You made it easy for me. You made it easy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're going with the flow, in the moment.
Yes. And,
Mm.
enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And, I hope to
Thank
see you
you.
again.
Yeah. Okay. Much love from Sweden.
Bye. Take care.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.